Hello and welcome to another edition of the Moves and Tea Shark Week. Tonight we look at Shark Night 3D. I'm your host as always, Elwood Jones, and joining me of course is my co-host and fellow shark movie enthusiast, Miss Kim Lowe.
Hello.
As I said, tonight we're looking at Shark Night 3D in 2D as a group of college students head to the lake for a fun party up session, only to find that the local redneck got in the lake with deadly sharks. Kim, opening thoughts on this one, because this was, I think, one of the sort of like last gasps for like a long time of like a mainstream shark movie. I think it was this, and then we had to wait for, I want to say The Shallows was the next one, which sort of followed in its wake. I don't know if 47 Meters Down came in between that or not.
I'm not sure. This is 2011, and then The Shallows was, 2016?
Yeah.
47 Meters was the same year, so it was about the same.
So,
yeah.
Yep, this is the movie that killed the mainstream shark movie, apparently. Directed by David R. Ellis, probably best known for his stunt work and second unit work, as he's worked in everything from The Matrix and Waterworld. As a director, though, he is responsible for giving us films such as The Final Destination, as well as Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco, as well as Final Destination 2, which has managed to sort of screw up everyone's car journey. And he also gave us Snakes on a Plane in 2006, one of the most talked about concepts of probably all time, only for the film to perhaps not deliver the movie everybody wanted. But Kim, what did you think of this one?
I mean, Shark Night, this is my second time watching it.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it was just the mentality of where I'm at, but I kind of was a little bit more forgiving the second time than the first time, but it's still, like, for me, it's definitely a subpar movie. It doesn't help that, you know, like, I guess it's okay, because the first one, I think that when you first start the first watch, you don't really know the twist, which you already talked about in the description. But
Sorry.
But like, when I watched it the second time, I still remembered that twist, and I think the twist was one of the more, like, the big reveal was one of the more highlights of the film because everything else was a little bit, I mean, if you look at the entire cast, especially the younger cast, you're not looking at some, you know, big name stars. A lot of these people came out of, like, CW TV series shows, you know. So, I mean, some of them were, you know, coming out of, like, after their roles ended or whatever, you know. A lot of the names look familiar. A lot of the faces look familiar. But if you weren't into kind of like, oh, you know, the OC or 90210 or whatever, then you probably would not know these people that much.
Yeah, they are a pretty young bunch, to say the least. There's obviously a couple of standout names in here. I mean, we got Donnell Logue in here as well, who I want to say is sort of like him and Joe David Moore were like the two people I actually recognized. The rest were like just this group of pretty young things. But at the same time, they're also pretty enthusiastic young things as well, which I think is good when you're doing this sort of concept, because what we have here is just essentially just a classic shark movie setup with, as I said, our teens going out to party on an island only to find themselves falling foul of these sharks in the water, which makes absolutely no sense. The fact we got a bunch of saltwater fish in a freshwater lake, but what do I know?
Well, no, I mean, they made the point to say that it was saltwater. I just don't know how accurate they were about it. Logic, I feel like a lot of this stuff is really hard, but I think that for this one, if there was anything to compliment it on, was that, you know, with all the variety of sharks they were working with, it was interesting. You know, it was like a quick shark lesson.
It did. It's good to find the fact that they mix it up with the type of sharks that they have in here. I mean, obviously you got the usual great whites, you got hammerheads, you got cookie sharks, which is good. I mean, it mixes things up from just the usual great white on the loose. Although when I was like watching this and we got the introduction of these characters, I couldn't help but think of Cabin in the Woods. So I really have to like compliment Cabin in the Woods for sort of like really nailing its core group, because here essentially we have pretty much the same group. We got the jock, we got the smart guy, we've got the girl with hidden abilities, we've got the jock's girlfriend, and then we got other supplemental people like the funny guy. But this film, like right from the start, it's got some weird moves to it. The fact that we get to enjoy the whole drive to the lake.
Yeah, and fast
which
forward.
I have to say is, this film loves fast forwarding at the start. I don't know if it's like the director like has been taking tips from like Homer Simpson or something, because he loves fast forward as well. And it's all like we have the fast forward drive to the lake, and then we have this whole getting ready at the lodge montage with girls getting dressed and people just like running around the lodge, all in fast forward. And I have no idea why they chose to do it this way.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was really like, I think the drive was pretty neat, because in fast forward they still managed to keep like, oh, here's a stop sign, and here they stop for let a truck through, and blah blah blah, all the way to
the truck
the bait
overtakes
shop, right?
them.
I thought it was pretty neat, the whole drive, because you got to see the whole area and stuff, right? But then when you got to the cabin, it was just like a reason to see naked girls. And
backs of naked girls.
Yeah, backs of naked girls. I don't know. But I mean, if you notice from the beginning, though, this director very into taking butt shots of its ladies that walk through the screens. There was many even before they left for the road trip, like on campus and stuff. So you got introduced to the people walking through the screen, if there were nobody, right? And then you got to the main thing. I don't have a problem with that, because I mean, you're on an island. They're basically all gonna be in their bikinis afterwards anyways. So it's not really like, unexpected. But I think it was just something that I noticed. Maybe it's after, the whole Tarantino thing. You don't notice foot shots, but you notice butt shots now.
You need to pay attention to what the director's particular footage was. I have to say it's nice to see more back in films. It was back and side boob. It took me right back to the 80s. If this was the 90s, it would just be boobs as far as the eye could see, because that's what we're all about. But being a 2000 horror film, there's no nudity in the 2000 horror. Unless you're Eli Roth. Who could be said to be many things when it comes to horror. But I don't know. I like the setup. I mean, obviously they're on this island, which nobody's thought to actually install a phone on. If they pay all this money for like this really posh house, but there's no phone. There's not even like a satellite phone. Yeah, but she hasn't been there
for 3 years, so I mean.
Still, a phone line could be in. It does not look like no one has been in that house for 3 years.
Maybe the cop's going there to clean every once in a while.
Well, that's what he does say. I mean, Donald Logo's local chef, he says that he's spent all his time, telling people to turn down the noise and cleaning up after people. But I would imagine that house is not going to stay pristine for 3 years without someone lurking around. Obviously, things go south rather quick. And of course, it would have to befall the football star who relies on his arm to lose an arm. So we're back into Deep Blue Sea territory once again, as a missing arm proves the catalyst of every other problem that is going to follow here. Although I have to say that for a guy who loses his arm, he somehow manages to not only build a fire, but also construct a spear.
Yeah.
With one arm.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you've tried, making, spears or carving things before, but usually it requires two hands.
Yes, I know.
Not to take anything away from any one-armed spear builders out there, but for Joe Public, I would assume that it's still going to take two hands to make a spear. But it's the most stupidest plan. I'm going to wade out in the water and attack a shark with a spear.
Yeah, but the wildest thing is he manages to do it.
It's true.
Amongst the many wild things that this guy has gone through, he's able to kill a shark to prove that. But then, the shark killing is meant to be, the stepping stone to realize that the lake has more than one shark.
Yes. Yeah, it was really bizarre. Like when you had the scene where he's like he loses his arm and they bring him back to the island, and then the medical student guy just like runs off and swims around the lake to try and find his arm, which is somehow magically washed over by the lake house at this point.
He dives around, and then it's like, oh yeah, he dives around, takes the arm, but it's not like there's fresh blood or anything. It's just an arm lying there, and the shark is not anywhere to be seen until he's back trying to swim back, conveniently,
Well, yeah, I mean, when it comes to the shark effects, I have to say that the CGI work here is pretty wonky.
Yeah.
Although I saw something like gave me so much hope in the opening, and that's animatronic supervisor. And I was like, oh, thank God, because it means we're going to get some practical effects in this movie. And they did actually have like a team who built like 2 sharks for the different species. So you would have like a swimming shark and you would have an attacking shark. So I think it's really great the fact that they bother to put in some actual, animatronic sharks in here.
I think the funniest part, though, I don't know about you, but I think it's just the amount of shark movies you watch, and then when you sit down and watch a movie like this, you're just kind of like, oh, every single death is very predictable. You're like, this person's going that way. Oh, it's definitely going to go this way. He's going to get killed. And then the person goes the other way. You're like, oh, the shark's going to jump out of the water.
I don't know that when one of these characters because I'm going to just skip ahead slightly in the story here. So if you haven't seen this, I apologize. Spoiler alert. If you're looking for a good movie with friends with beer, this isn't a bad one to choose. But no, when we find out that the local rednecks are running this Shark Night ring, where they're basically creating snuff movies by fitting the sharks with cameras, apparently the same cameras they used in the filming of March of the Penguins. But yeah, they figure that because Shark Week is one of the most watched events in TV every year, that people are going to pay top dollar to watch real life shark attacks. So this is their big plan, and they've just been basically filling the lake with these 50-odd varieties of shark that they've fitted with cameras, and are now basically using them. We get to find out this plan when they're offered to take 2 of the students back to the mainland. Ironically, not the one who's been injured, just 2 random people from their group. They say they're taken back to the mainland so they can phone for help, and then they inevitably say, nope, we're going to go and throw you into these sharks. And when we have, one of the characters who doesn't swim for the tree line, I thought, oh, well, he made it, and then that shark attack came completely out of nowhere.
But it was so obvious it was going to happen. I mean, so many sharks in the water.
I wouldn't expect it to jump out like that.
How many shark movies have we watched? People don't make it out of these things. Like, at least these side characters never do. The main character, 1 or 2 will live. And that's how these movies go. So you have to expect that he's going to die. Yeah.
I think when the kid are trying to escape on the jet ski, who gets a face full of shark, was more amusing.
Yeah, but that one was also pretty much, that's how it was at. It was like, those deaths were really obvious, because you were like, oh no, the shark's definitely gonna come and get them out of the water. They're gonna come flying out of the water,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when it came to the shark attacks, because obviously this is the key requirement of these movies. It's like, how did they deliver for you? I mean, did they meet Kim's standard for shark attacks, or?
I mean, I don't really mind it too much. I think that the one I think was the most unique was probably the cookie cutter shark, because I've never seen that used anywhere else. And I've actually never seen that anywhere, but that I don't watch a whole lot of shark documentaries or, that sort of stuff. So I'm not really, in general, I'm pretty I should be though, for research purposes, But I mean, I thought that was pretty unique. I think that when you look at the film itself, some of them, I don't know, I mean, shark attack stuff with these type of movies, which isn't particularly, I don't think it's pretty high budget in general, feels like it's average. I don't think I have an issue with the shark bits. So much that I have an issue with, the the acting and the dialogue and all this stuff is really ridiculous at times. You look at this and like decision making is real bad. But I mean, in general, if you think about it, like a lot of movies that revolve around college students or teens or something, and horror movies, they don't really make the best decisions either. So
they don't. There's a couple of there's a character who sacrifices himself, which felt completely pointless because it's basically doom the other guy. And I have to say that these sharks, despite just being regular sharks, are pretty damn smart. So they know how to attack boats.
Yeah.
And they also roar, which is really annoying. I was like, no, you did the Jaws of Revenge thing. I was like, why? I should be grateful at least we didn't see the stick moving the shark like that movie. Yeah, cookie cutter sharks, apparently a real thing. There's only been 2 reported attacks on humans. One was, both were a cadaver. One was a drowning victim and the other was a suicide. But they are also known as the cigar shark.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I just learned from Wikipedia just now, because I was sure that was a made-up thing. But yeah, certainly the attack sequence reminded me a lot of Piranha and Piranha 3D. So
yeah, definitely. I think that was. I feel like some of these bits are like, if you look back, it might be like some type of homage to different creature features. Because sometimes I have this feeling that some bits feel very familiar, but I can't really pinpoint which it is.
Yeah, there was a shark. There's a moment where a great white rises up, and I'm sure it was like footage that they stole from Deep Blue Sea and just like reinserted into this movie. But yeah, I mean, I was generally pretty happy with the film. I mean, as I say, it's only an hour and a half. I would not have paid to see this in 3D. I don't see where the appeal would have been to watch this movie in 3D.
Yeah, there was like one part when with that stupid boat exploding, where the bits start flying at the screen.
Yeah.
I'm sure, like, and the cookie cutter shark part, where, like, it comes really close to the screen and then it, like, veers off back to bite her.
Yeah, I mean...
There are little bits when you watch, like, 2D versions of 3D movies. I think that's the funny part, is that you're able to see where the deliberate 3D moments are.
Oh, yeah, because it's, like, pretty much outlined, isn't it? So...
Because I think that's what it is. Like, this is, like, these films are all in, like, the early days of 3D. And, when theaters first started getting 3D. And all these movies popped out. And there's, obviously there's some that do a really good job. But, like, the bigger budget movies. But these movies that go on, it's really funny because you can really see where the 3D was deliberately added to add that effect. And I'm like, I just don't know who's going to watch this in 3D, you know?
Yeah, it's not as fun. I mean, this is the thing. It's some movie that you think, oh, well, if you're going to do 3D, you do, like, lots of, like, really fun, campy sort of bits in it. And that's why I think Piranha 3D really sort of excelled, is it knew what it was doing with the 3D elements. A lot of things like front of the screen, or just you have unique things that have never been seen in 3D before. Mainly nudity, so... That was the big selling point. It's all like, oh, we get the nude swimming scene in 3D. And if you buy the DVD, you get like a crappy pair of like old school 3D glasses, and you can watch it in like a crappy version of 3D that they've like put together for the disc. Because I don't think you can even buy 3D TVs anymore. I think that whole thing just like came and went though.
Yeah, no, I don't think you can anymore. I don't really think it really sold a lot, in my opinion, but I don't know.
We keep saying that about 3D gaming as well, don't we, though?
Oh, you mean like...
well, the Oculus and stuff.
Yeah, Oculus and...
VR,
the
should
VR,
I say.
yes. But no, VR has its appeals, especially when it's just too expensive, you know? Like, if you buy, like, think about it. If you buy a new PS5 and then you buy a PSVR, you know how expensive that is? That's like... it's like over $1,000.
Yeah. We're not making
that's a lot of money to
here.
fork out, and you know, like VR, like anything else, I would guess over time is going to be dated and stuff. So I don't know. I honestly really don't know. Like, I mean, I have family that has it, but when you try it, it's really cool. Like when you play games like, you know, Resident Evil, or when you play like games like that, but and then like other more, you know, relaxing games. I think in general, I don't know. I mean, I think that is just I don't really feel like forking out that money for it, you know. I don't even want to buy PS5.
No, it's very hard to sell people on the PS5 at the moment, isn't it? So
I don't know. I think that, you know, I mean, we're not doing the gaming podcast right now, so we could probably skip through it. But I think my thought on it is that a lot of people buy it for better graphics and quick loading times. Like you literally like load like 10 seconds, you know,
yeah.
like compared to our, you know, 30 seconds. So it's really quick, which is, you know, beneficial. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't have a TV that's gonna render PS5 better looking than a PS4, in my opinion. So I don't really think it's gonna make a big difference.
No, of course not. So, but in the sort of like echelon of shark movies, I mean, where do you think this one sort of ranks? I mean, certainly it's not the best shark movie we watched, but I think at the same time it's certainly better than The Reef. I had a lot more fun with this than I did with The Reef. So,
I don't know. I like movies that make me like. I like The Reef a lot.
okay.
In our rewatch, I think I liked it a little less. Shark Night is different because Shark Night, I ranked it really low in my first watch. But I don't know if it's because I'm coming out of festival season and it was a lot more serious films, and yeah. I've been watching just real trash movies in general. That the movie actually felt like it was a little bit more entertaining. And I think it's even more entertaining because, you know, the after credits bit is real fun.
Yeah, exactly. When you get to see the crew doing the little rap video, which you can enjoy at the end of this episode.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I wouldn't rank it very high. Like, I mean, but then it's hard to say because I kind of like bad movies, but this one was not bad enough to be fun to me. Like, I would rather watch Sharknado than watch this. You know, like. This got really long. It got really boring at one point. I finished watching it and I was like, I'm so tired now. I can go to bed. I was like, I got through this. Okay, let's just go. Because it felt like there were, you know what happened with this one was I felt like there were moments that I really enjoyed it. There were moments that were really well, and then everything in between felt so dumb. And then it was just so ridiculous. And then like a part of it I can argue away. Like when we're doing this, I'm thinking about it more, and I'm like, yeah, well, you know, I can argue that that's a thing, but I'm gonna watch it a third time, and I don't think I'm gonna like it any more than this time.
No, I think it was very just for myself. I mean, I rated this highly. I mean, I gave this 3.5 stars.
Okay.
Which I think is a lot more than most people giving it on Letterboxd, that's for sure. But I think, as I said, it was just I was coming to this movie after like a month of really heavy movie watching. So to watch something so light and fun and disposable, and I was just, as I said, in a good place. And I think back to like how I ranked Django when we're doing our Tarantino season. I ranked that higher on that experience, even though it's not my favorite, just because I was in a good place for that movie. And I think sometimes. Yeah. A movie can catch you in the right mood or the right place or whatever, and just sort of resonate with you in that moment. And I think that's really what happened with Shark Night 3D for me on this watch. I really enjoyed it, though when the film opens and you've got like the opening attack, that very obvious homage to Jaws. Yeah. You know, with the pretty girl getting attacked by the raft. I was looking at that raft and I was like, God, I just really want to watch Creepshow 2 now. Well, more particularly, I want to watch the raft segment of Creepshow 2 now. Because it looked like the same location. It's just so... But I'm just worried about where we go from here. I mean, we've essentially run out of the good shark movies at this point. Obviously, if we do like Jaws 2 or Jaws, I mean, that's obviously the exception. But it's a scary... list to look at now. So
yeah, I mean, I think the discussion now is whether we expand from there. You know, like we move away, like not all the time sharks, but maybe more along the lines of creature features, or like just, you know, that sort of thing in general, instead of, sharks. Because, I mean, if we continue down this path, there's no choice. You're going to have to do Sharknado. You're going to have to do two-headed shark attack. You're going to have to do,
The asylum magic will keep us pretty busy.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, I don't know. Maybe if we keep down Asylum, there might be some hidden gems.
Yeah, the optimism that the people who gave us Titanic 2 may have some hidden gems. Although saying that, was it Avengers Grimm was interesting, and what was the other one that? Oh yeah, Sharktopus.
Yeah,
I remember enjoying.
And all the versus ones, right? Whatever versus Mega Shark and whatever.
Oh, I remember. I watched Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus when that first came out, and we had all this high optimism for it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll discuss it. We have another season before we need to think about that again. So
we do.
We will plan this out, and then we will figure out where to go from here.
I have to say, if you are a fan of Creature Features, though, I think you're really going to like our next season. And that's all I'm going to say right now. But that brings us to the end of tonight's episode. Thank you, as always, for listening. If you haven't done already, please do check out our blog, which is moviesandteapodcast.wordpress.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram for all the good stuff, including our Friday Film Club, where every Friday myself and Kim both pick a film to highlight. Sometimes there's a theme, sometimes there's not. Either way, it's a chance for us to talk about more of the movies that we love and want to share with you, the good people out there. Kim, what do we have next?
Yeah, so next up we're going to be doing 2018 action sci-fi Mortal Engines, which is going to be your choice.
Yeah, Mortal Engines. It's the movie that if you thought that not enough things were moving in Mad Max, even the buildings move in this one. Produced by Peter Jackson, based on the popular young adult series of books. This is one I really enjoyed, and I'm really excited to bring it to the show and see what you make of it, Kim. So that's obviously coming up on our next episode. But thank you as always for listening. Thanks to my co-host Kim, and we'll be back next time to talk about Mortal Engines. But until then, good night.
Ice in my mouth so I can taste the often band-aids down south, cause that's a place the shark fit market. But I only need one take to shake and break these guppy ass sharks in the lake. Wear glasses to see these wicked redemption. Kick shark ass in 3 freaking dimensions. Mess with my crew and bam, you're dead. Just like this mother shark in ham. My head, jam, I'm bread, peanut butter, I'm toast. I eat a hearty breakfast and I make shark toast. I beat 'em and I eat 'em with my shark fin tooth. Turn my dark fin poop into shark fin soup. But in reality, a shark fatality ain't nothing to laugh at. So go and take a pass at www.sakeofsharks.com. The site is the bomb, yo. Where to your mom, ho?
You met my crew, but you barely met me. I'm the S to the mother shark and Arapowski. All my friends die, they say I'm grim reaping, but you gotta run away when you see the thing creeping. Sharks on the block, you can see them take flight. Sherman on the dock, barking at the great white, taking dive lessons from Janet who's little grays. But I taught him not to mess with F and propeller blades.
Morning like gecko, I'm sporting 5 freckles. Her name is Busy Beth, and she party from the get-go. All around town, she wanna spread her nookie butter, but she cut off short by a pack of cookie cutters.
Jet storks, boats, and teeny bops. All the overlook, special bikini tops.
Sharks on my job, sharks on my job, sharks on my job.